welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 457 for the 23rd of July, 2017. Richard Saunders here with you from Sydney, Australia at 2 o'clock in the morning, Sydney, Australia. Yes, for some reason, possibly to do with two Skeptic Zone cats making noise, I'm awake. Or is it a bit of late jet lag? Who knows? What that means for you? Well, not much, except the Skeptic Zone comes out a few hours early this week. And, of course, being 2 o'clock in the morning, there are no dreaded planes flying overhead to make me stop and start recording. We're going to kick off with another interview I did at the Northeast Conference of Science and Skepticism, and that was just recently in New York. This week I chat to Claire Klingenberg about the upcoming European Skeptics Congress in Poland on the 22nd to the 24th of September. And the big news, and the late-breaking big news, is that our very own reporter and the president of Australian Skeptics, Eran Segev, will be a guest speaker at the Congress. More about the Congress coming up with Claire Klingenberg. After that, it's Brew Ha Ha Science, this week with Ben Lewis, telling us about the benefits of an Australian space agency. Australians in space boggles the mind. Then it's the Raw Skeptic, Heidi Robertson, with a very interesting live report from Star Stuff, the recent astronomy meeting at Bryon Bay up on the north coast of New South Wales. Heidi gives us an excellent rundown of the couple of days of the meeting, and also a walk on Mars. Yes, Heidi goes for a walk on a virtual Martian landscape. That's coming up in the Raw Skeptic Report. Then we have part one of a series of interviews with Ann Reid, the director of the National Center for Science Education, and that's based in Oakland, California. I paid a visit to the Center for Science Education a couple of weeks ago to chat to Ann, and she's going to fill us in on some of the ups and downs, mostly ups, I think, about promoting science education in the United States. And in the coming weeks, we'll have some more interviews and updates from Ann Reid. Then to round off the show, a little book review. I've been enjoying reading a book recommended to me, or recommended to everybody, by Dr. Harriet Hall at the NECSS conference. It's called Nibbling on Einstein's Brain by Diane Swanson, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a book designed for the younger reader, but I dare say it's applicable for all ages. What do they used to say, from 9 to 99 or something silly like that? It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. Bringing science, the method of science, what to look out for, bad science, good science, all that sort of thing in a very easy-to-understand fashion. Nibbling on Einstein's Brain, and that review comes up to round off this week's episode. Now, before we get stuck into the show, some more late-breaking news, I guess you'd say. I am very happy to say that I will be speaking at the upcoming SciCon, the conference in Las Vegas, csiconference.org, and that's in late October. And doubly, especially extra good, our very own Dr. Rachel Dunlop from Dr. Rachel Reports will also be speaking at this conference. But I'm sure we'll bring you more news about that in the coming months before the conference begins. But now it's time for me to open the door quietly, sneak past the sleeping cats. Yeah, it doesn't work. They're waiting outside the door. Go downstairs, go into the laundry, open the cat food box, and give those cats some... What do they have this morning? Was it fish? Fish-flavoured or chicken or something like that? Lucky cats. Well, I'm doing that. I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Hi.
Hi, in person.
Yes.
Amazing. It's amazing the people you bump into at a skeptics convention.
Yeah, it's always fascinating when you can meet someone in person who you've kind of known virtually for some time.
So you're here in New York for this conference. Any particular reason, or you just love to be here?
I went to try out all the skeptic conferences. So I've been to the QED and to SciCon and to the Rationalist International and now to NECSS. So I want to kind of try everything and see the difference. Even though all the conferences focus on skepticism and science, all of them have a very different atmosphere. And either knowingly or not knowingly kind of have a different focus in general. So
that's not a bad idea at all. You'll have to come to Australia.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So how are things shaping up? And remind our listeners once again what is coming up.
So the European Skeptics Congress is going to be on September 22nd to 24th, and their things are shaping up great. I mean, it's only 3 months away, so get your ticket soon, I guess. Yes. But we have all our speakers booked, and we have their accommodations booked, so that's a good thing. And the program is finished. We have some very interesting speakers when it comes to the exorcism topic, because we invited a priest that is schooled, or he's a trained exorcist as well. So he doesn't actively do them, but he is trained as an exorcist. And we also have the editor-in-chief of the only existing exorcist magazine. So,
can you imagine reading that while you're waiting for a haircut or something?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what's the newest fashion? Yeah. Oh.
Maybe in the doctor's waiting room or the dentist to take your mind off the tooth or something.
Yeah, so no more hitting, waterboarding instead. Okay.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty strange.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting, and I think where it's being held, I looked at the website. And where it's being held, the conference, your conference, it looks like a beautiful part of the world.
So it's going to be in Wrocław, the city of Wrocław, in Poland, which has an international airport. So even if you have never heard of that city, you can still get there. And it's going to be at the State University of Wrocław. We actually had issues with the venue because Poland is a very Catholic and very conservative country. So the first venue where we were, the university board voted us out because of one of the sponsors of the university was a devout Catholic and didn't want us there. So
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so now we're going to be at the State University, which has the academic freedom, and we are very excited to be there. Yeah, we're going to be in the Department of Law and Economics. So, and it's one of the modern buildings. It's very, very large, so everyone will fit in. That's
fantastic. Well, folks, there's the word once more, as we keep reminding you. And immediately after this interview, I'll play the promo just to remind people once again. Well, Claire, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm so delighted that you're here in New York. And I think it's about time we rushed back for the rest of the afternoon's talks.
Yeah, back to the panel.
Milí skeptičtí přátelé, zdraví vás Claire Klingenberg, spoluorganizátorka Evropského skeptického kongresu 2017. Letošní kongres se bude konat v polské Vratislavi od 22. do 24. září a je mou ctí vás sem pozvat. Přijďte a poslechněte si příspěvky od osobností jako jsou James Randi, Susan Gerbic, Mark Linus, Susan Blackmore, Scott Linfield a další. Pohovořte o tématech jako náboženství a věda, pseudověda a média, paranormální vyšetřování a další. Pro koupi vstupenky a pro více informací běžte na euroskepticscon.org a nebo nás najděte na Facebooku. Těšíme se na vás! Hello, dear skeptical friends. This is Claire Klingenberg, co-organizer of the European Skeptics Congress 2017. This year, the Congress will be held in Wrocław, Poland on September 22nd to 24th, and it is my absolute pleasure to invite you to attend. Come and listen to talks by James Randi, Susan Gerbic, Mark Linus, Susan Blackmore, Scott Lilienfeld, and others. Discuss topics like science and religion, pseudoscience and media, paranormal investigation, and more. To buy a ticket and to get more information about the Congress, go to euroskepticscon.org or find us on Facebook. See you there!
And now, direct from the cafe at Australia's Science Channel, it's Brew Ha Ha. Science in less time than it takes to order a coffee. With Ben Lewis.
Should Australia have a space agency? Yes. 1,000,000 times yes. More yeses than stars in the universe. The government has announced they'll look at creating our very own space agency via a review due in March 2018. And if you can't tell, we're right behind the idea. A space agency isn't just some vanity project. It inspires kids to study STEM. Building a space industry stimulates the economy. For every dollar NASA spends, the US sees at least 10 returned. It forces us to create a cohesive plan for our space activities, and it develops technology that will specifically benefit our country, like satellite monitoring that can help farmers and communications in rural areas. Plus, it massively boosts international collaboration. Why would you not want that? Plus, now that Australia is on Elon Musk's radar, you never know what opportunities could come next. We've got one of the world's best sites for rocket launches at Woomera, just begging to be used more. A Hyperloop straight to Woomera where rockets being launched and recovered? Yes, please. To us, this is a no-brainer. Just do it. The benefits are massive and it will be short-sighted to not establish an agency. The space world's eyes will be on us in September during a worldwide conference in Adelaide. But so far, we've got nothing to show. It's time. Let's make this happen. And Australia's Science Channel will be along for the ride.
For more Brew Ha Ha and Australian science, visit www.australiascience.tv or visit Australia's Science Channel on Facebook.
Hey, Heidi.
Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi, Heidi.
Oh, hi, Maynard.
Hi, Maynard.
Oh, hi, Joe.
Nice day in this park, yeah?
Yes, great weather.
Oh, look, a unicorn.
A unicorn? There are no such things as unicorns, silly.
Yes, there are.
No, there isn't.
Hey, ladies, what are you arguing about?
Joe thinks unicorns are real.
They so are.
Let's look this up in the Skeptics Dictionary.
The what?
How can we do that in this park? There are no computers here.
You ladies probably don't know about the Skeptics Dictionary app, available now for iPhone, iPad and iPod Touch in the App Store.
Yeah, we do. We've been listening to the Skeptic Zone for years, you know.
Yes, okay. The app lets you access all the great Skeptics Dictionary articles when you're on the go. Here, let me look up unicorns.
Oh, cool. Heidi, prepare to be proven wrong.
It says here the unicorn is a creature from fables.
Aha!
Actually, I see now that someone just dumped their ice cream cone on that horse's head.
Thanks, Skeptic Dictionary iPhone app.
That's just some guy in his undies.
It's the Raw Skeptic Report with Heidi Robertson.
Hello everyone, Heidi Robertson from the Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters here. A few weeks ago, I attended the Star Stuff weekend in Bryon Bay. 2 days of talks on astronomy, astrophysics, astrophotography, and interspersed with some day and night stargazing. So this report is a rundown of the speakers and the topics of their talks that we enjoyed over the weekend, along with a couple of interviews I had with attendees and a snippet of my encounter on Mars. We will put links to the work of the following speakers in this week's show notes at skepticzone.tv. On Saturday, or Saturn Day, as the program said, the program incidentally also had a complimentary horoscope for June 2017, and I quote, Aries, the stars and planets will not affect your life in any way. Taurus, the stars and planets will not affect your life in any way. Gemini, the stars and planets will not affect your life in any way, and so on. So, Saturn Day began with a welcome to country by an Australian Indigenous representative of the Arakwal people of Bryon Bay, honouring the land on which the event was held and its first inhabitants, past and present. That was followed by a talk from Dr. Duane Hamacher from Monash University, who spoke about Aboriginal astronomy, 60,000 years of science and culture. I was absolutely enthralled by this talk. Duane, a white American, has a deeper understanding of Australian Indigenous cultures than, I dare say, most citizens of Australia have. And yes, I'm ashamed to say that includes me. The ways in which Indigenous Australians preserve knowledge throughout the generations in song, dance and astronomy is intricate, complex and beautiful. Following this talk was Mark G on astrophotography. He describes his short film Full Moon Silhouettes as, quote, inadvertently launching my international astrophotography career. He spoke of uploading the video one night and waking up the next morning shocked to discover that the video had gone viral as he slept. We watched the video on the big screen in a dark room of a full moon rising with a lighthouse in the foreground and silhouettes of people slowly climbing the stairs up to the lighthouse in order to enjoy the rising of the moon. It was set to a beautiful piece of music. It was evident that it evoked a strong emotional response from the members of the audience, apparent by the hush that fell over the crowd during the viewing, followed by the enthusiastic applause at the end. It was easy to see why it went viral, but it was interesting having Mark explain exactly what went into the creation of it, such as the timing, positioning, camera settings, the subsequent editing and so on. Apparently he had a few people contact him, sceptical that the whole thing wasn't just photoshopped in some way. Go to www.theartofnight.com to see some of Mark's work. You won't regret it. We broke for lunch, and I grabbed the opportunity to have a walk on the surface of Mars.
Here I am at the Star Stuff convention, and we're on our lunch break of the first day at the moment, and just having a look at one of the exhibits here, which I'm about to have a go of myself. It's a virtual reality app, and with me I've got...
Hi, I'm Julian.
Julian and
Lucas.
Lucas
and I'm Lars.
And Julian, Lucas and Lars, right? So you're all developers of this app?
We're all part of the company, but we all have different roles.
Describe what the app is to start with for our listeners.
So the app's taken 3D scans that NASA has generated of the Martian surface, and it's now put them into VR just for people to use.
Okay, and how long did it take you guys to develop the app, and did you have to get any sort of permission from NASA themselves?
No, this is actually free, open stuff that anyone can download. It's just very huge file sizes, so like terabytes upon terabytes. So it has taken us a while to develop, about 1 year, to get it to the stage where it's at now. And obviously we look to improve it every so often, add updates, throughout the process. Yeah.
6 weeks to download. 6 weeks to download all the data.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and what's your background? Obviously, do you have a background in developing apps? Have you developed any other apps in the past?
Mainly only private stuff. Nothing's really seen the light of day, but by trade I'm a software engineer, so that's just who I am.
Okay, and what about you?
Well, I actually went to high school with Lucas, and he came to me with this VR idea. I just wanted to be involved in any capacity, so I'm helping out with the business side of things and just getting the ball rolling, getting it out there, getting it to schools, teaching kids about space, and using this app as a tool for that.
Okay, and so I'm seeing a sign there. So the app is actually called The Red Planet. Is that right? And use your own VR headset, virtual reality headset?
So today what we're demoing is the HTC Vive version of it. So it is one of the more expensive VR systems, but it's also the most stable and reliable. In saying that, though, we plan to release it on, Samsung Gear VR, Google Cardboard, Google Dreamview, I think that's the one it's called.
Daydream.
Google Daydream, which is Google's new headset. We look at doing it on, or even PS4 we're looking at launching on, so that way everyone will have a go at it, because Google Cardboard is $20.
So it has been launched or not yet? You're still...
The app, it hasn't been launched. We're looking about towards the end of the year, maybe early next year, to get it to its the most stablest form. But yeah, all the I guess the gear necessary, it's all readily available online or through like JB Hi-Fi, those kind of stuff like that.
Okay, so you can basically put on your headgear and you can see what it might be like to walk around on the planet Mars.
Well, the really cool thing about this app in particular is it's very, very accurate, because we've used satellite data. This is very accurate. If there's a valley or a glacier that you see in the app, it's there.
Yeah. So you've got an area taped out here, like a square box that you have to stay inside. What happens if you go outside the box?
Nothing really. You just might bump into a few $1,000 telescopes and have to pay someone's bill. But essentially, this is the workable area.
This is the safe space.
So you can walk around this in VR and kind of have a look at the ground, kneel down and have a look at the terrain as well.
Okay.
But yeah, we've restricted it just for today to this 3 metre space. I think it's less than 3 metres today, but I think maximum you can get is 3 metres.
The Vive is 5 by 5.
5 by 5 metres. There you go. Walkable space.
All right. Well, there's a gentleman just having a go of it now. Can I ask you, sir, what you think of the app so far? Just straight.
Yeah, this is amazing.
He's got the headset on. He can't see me.
Yeah, this is out of control.
You're enjoying it?
Yeah,
You
spend
like
hours in this thing.
Are you Jason Bourne on Mars?
No. But no, it's really amazing doing this. This is great.
Well, I'm going to wait in line and I'm going to have a go myself in a minute. Okay, so I'm putting the headset on now, like that. Oh my goodness, where am I? Oh my God.
All right, so this is your hand right here, so you can see that in VR. Just reach out and grab it.
Oh.
Yep.
Crikey. So there's a remote control that I've just been handed. I can't see the hand that's given it to me, but I'm seeing the remote control and I'm seeing the stars. And
there's Mars in front of me.
There's Mars in front of me.
So this is right now the main menu of the app.
Okay, so I'm looking directly down at the surface, and this is a NASA mapped image of what Mars actually looks like. And
but right now, you can bend down if you wanted to. Just kneel down and look at the ground, get really close.
Wow. Okay. Wow. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
But it gets a little better. We can take you down even further. So stand up again.
Yep. This is the first time I've ever actually worn a VR headset, so this is quite...
look around.
Yeah, you can look up.
Wow.
Look up, look at the terrain.
Oh, goodness me. It's incredible, isn't it? Oh, everyone's got to try this. This is amazing. Wow. I can't tell you how good this is. It's just incredible. What other features are you thinking of adding? As if it's not enough already.
Well, right now, the ground detail is sort of lacking, so we want to add more rocks onto the ground. I know that sounds simple, but it just adds to the realism.
Yeah. Maybe some sound effects.
Sound effects, yeah, that'd be good as well.
I don't know what you might hear.
We also want to add educational features, so just things that they point out specific locations in the terrain and say, hey, look here, it looks like there was water running across this place a million years ago.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's a great idea. And did you say before that you've taken it already into schools? And
that's something we plan to do in the next coming months.
Yep.
Just so we want to have the best experience for the kids, actually.
Yeah.
Just to get them interested in science. It's the most important thing we need to be teaching our kids.
Whereabouts are you based around
Sydney.
here? Oh, you're in Sydney. Okay, well, all the skeptics in Sydney, keep an eye out for these guys. Where can they go on the World Wide Webs to find out a bit more about this app and about you? Is there anywhere they can go?
So we have a Facebook. It's called
The Red Planet VR. So facebook.com/The Red Planet VR.
Okay.
You can also visit our company's website, which is mecsoft.net.au, and that'll just be more information about us as a company and what the things we're going to be launching from here on out.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I better let somebody else have a go. I'll take the head.
Thank you, Heidi.
Wow, that's truly incredible. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay.
After lunch, Dr. David Malin from the Australian Astronomical Observatory spoke about astro images from the Ice Age, ancient astronomical imaging, and how everything changed, firstly with the invention of the telescope and then again with the advent of photography. Next up was Dr. Fred Watson, also of the Australian Astronomical Observatory, who spoke about light pollution and the growing call for better designed outdoor lighting to improve both the nocturnal environment and avoid wasted energy. Obviously, this is also a topic important to the astrophotographers out there who have a much better view of the night sky without loads of artificial light around. Dr. Katie Mack followed up from the University of Melbourne with a talk called Dispatches from a Dark Universe. As the program said, come for the Big Bang, stay for the possibility of the ultimate destruction of all reality. Sounds very uplifting, doesn't it? Topics included dark matter, dark energy, and recent research on Higgs vacuum decay. Unfortunately, I could not attend the gala dinner on Saturn Day night, with Dr. Karl presenting a talk, Great Moments in Space. Why do stars have points? Why are asteroids God's way of inquiring gently about our space program? What colour is the universe? Gravitational waves, and much more. Night sky tours and stargazing throughout the night followed the gala dinner. If Saturn Day wasn't enough for you to wish you were there, next up was Sun Day. But first, here is an interview I had with one of the younger attendees of Star Stuff, Bo, who I interviewed earlier in the day.
Okay, I'm here with another attendee at the Star Stuff Festival. Who have we got here?
Bo Berghausen.
Bo, and how old are you, Bo?
I am turning 12.
Turning 12, okay. And where are you from?
I'm from Brunswick Heads.
Okay, so you're a local, not too far away?
Yeah, not too far.
And what made you interested in coming here today?
I like science, I like stars, so I thought it would just be cool to have a look.
Yeah, and we've only had 2 speakers so far, but they've both been really interesting. What did you think of the speakers this morning?
I thought it was quite amazing, actually, the second one in particular. It was very interesting.
Wasn't that amazing photography?
Yeah.
Did it get you inspired to try some astrophotography out for yourself, maybe?
I don't know. I don't really have a camera, and I don't know if I'd be very good at it, but, you know, it's an idea to think of.
I think so too. Look, I'm 44 years old, and I don't know how to take a photo, but I'm inspired to start. So if I can do it at 44, I reckon you can do it at 12. What do you reckon?
I mean, you've got to try to find out.
I think that's exactly right. So who are the speakers that we've got on next? Do you remember who they are?
Dr. Fred Watson.
Dr. Fred Watson. Oh, well, before him, we've got Dr. David Malin. Yeah.
He's that quite, one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. So we've got a few more interesting talks today, and then are you going to the special dinner tonight?
No, I'm not a VIP.
Not a VIP this time, or maybe next time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Bo.
Thanks.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Sunday, June 25th, 2017, kicked off with Jade Rushwood from Bryon Bay High School. Jade's science teacher nominated her as a speaker as a result of one of her assignments on Jupiter and its moon's orbits. It was inspiring to see a young whippersnapper of about 17 years of age so passionate about astronomy and science. Dylan O'Donnell was next up, the event organiser, who has the honour of having Australia's most easterly observatory in his backyard in Bryon Bay. You may recall my interview with Dylan a few weeks back on the Skeptic Zone. Dylan has an impressive collection of astrophotography at diography.com. like geography, but with a D. He has a particular image that also went viral of the International Space Station against the Moon. Even better, these high-resolution images are available for free on his website. And in fact, I'm in the process of getting one of his images printed and framed for my lounge room. Mark G then spoke to us again, but this time took us through how he takes wide-field astrophotography images, his camera settings and techniques, and showed us how he gets the best out of his images with the software he uses and a process called stacking. Lunchtime on Sunday was upon us, and afterward we kicked off again with Dr. Alan Duffy, with life, the universe, and everything we can't see. Are we alone? Where did we come from? And does Einstein always have to be right? Dr. Alan Duffy is also going to be one of the speakers at this year's Australian National Skeptics Convention in Sydney. A Q&A followed with the always charming and entertaining Dr. Karl, followed by Jamie Anderson from Gilmore Space Technologies, talking about the challenge of building rockets, using breakthroughs in safe propulsion and 3D printing, and providing truly low-cost access to space. The last talk of Sunday was Michaela Jeffery with an overview of the European Space Agency's operations in Australia. The Star Stuff event, the first of its kind in Bryon Bay, was sold out, which was fantastic for the organiser, Dylan. I'm going to hold Dylan to his comment that he may well put on another astronomy event next year in Bryon Bay, the 30th of June 2018, I think he mentioned. So keep that date free in your calendar and come on down to Bryon Bay. It was truly a treat to have this fabulous science-heavy event with such inspirational speakers, leaders in their respective fields, right in the middle of a region renowned for its usual prevalence of woo. It warms the heart that we do, in fact, have a population of science enthusiasts here, and served as a reminder that sensible, curious, critical thinkers are walking among us, even when it seems like the world has succumbed to a post-truth era of pseudoscience and fake news. That's all from me for now. Thank you for listening, and until next time, this has been Heidi Robertson of the Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters, signing off.
Now on Belfast FM, we turn to the personal ads. Easygoing and confident skeptic seeks other critical thinkers for fun, laughter and good times. Must be willing to apply logic liberally and a good listener. Expect something new and interesting every month. Come and meet me in Belfast in Northern Ireland. If this sounds like you, check out my profile on belfastskeptics.com. Music by Kevin MacLeod.
Now we bring you part one of a series of interviews with Ann Reid, the Executive Director of the National Centre for Science Education. For 15 years she worked as a research biologist at the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, where she was responsible for sequencing the 1918 flu virus. She served as a senior program officer at the NRC's Board of Life Sciences for 5 years, and most recently as a director of the American Academy of Microbiology. I caught up with Ann Reid at the National Center for Science Education in Oakland, California. Well, folks, once again I find myself in beautiful downtown Oakland at the offices of the National Center of Science Education. I'm with Ann Reid. Hello, Ann.
Hello.
It's really nice to be here in your, well, I say new office. Not exactly. You're telling me you moved a year plus ago?
Yeah, almost a year and a half.
And what was the reason for that? Just financial, just convenience?
We wanted to be in offices that had more private space. Our old offices were very open, and all of us spend a great deal of time writing. and a great deal of time on the phone. And so overhearing everyone all the time was not optimal for productivity.
Right. So, but you're not a million miles away. You're just in another part of Oakland.
We're one BART station away from our old offices.
Now, I've so enjoyed visiting the National Centre for Science Education over many years and chatting to the director, whoever that might be, usually Jeannie Scott, of course, for many years. And you've been in the role now for 2 years, am I guessing?
3.5.
Oh, man. I know, it happens, doesn't it? Yeah, time flies, as they say. And, well, how's it going in the last 3.5 years? Are you enjoying it?
It's going very well. It's very interesting, a very multifaceted problem to try to solve. It's a big challenge. And in a way, the problem has broadened out since I've been here. One of the things that I was asked to do by the board, and the rest of the staff talked about it too, was that NCSC was always on the defensive.
Yes.
We were reacting to bad stuff that happens, whether it be a legislature that's trying to pass a bill that would allow teachers to teach non-science in the science classroom, or a school board, in the case of Kitzmiller versus Dover, trying to introduce a textbook that was non-scientific and require their teachers to teach from it, all the way down to lots and lots of little individual, what we call flare-ups, where someone would call and say, my child just came home with an assignment that asks them to say that the Earth is 10,000 years old, or a parent coming in and saying, I want my child to opt out of the evolution part of the biology class. We still handle those, although many fewer than we used to.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
well,
good. Well,
I think it's a mixed message.
Yeah.
After Kitzmiller, the trial that found that intelligent design was also religious in nature and couldn't be taught in a science class in a public school, we feel that the problem of creationism, teaching creationism, has really gone underground. People know that it's not allowed.
Yeah.
And so it's not like they stop teaching it in places where the majority of the community accepts it. There just isn't anybody to blow the whistle in those communities.
I can't help thinking of Prohibition and the speakeasies.
Right. Education is completely decentralized in the United States, all the way down to the level of almost individual schools. And there are school districts, somewhere between 12 and 15,000 of them, depending on how you count. And each of those school districts makes its own decisions about curriculum and textbooks and the sequence of courses in high school. There's guidance from states. Some states are more interventionist than others. But the point is that if a teacher wants to teach creationism, or wants to teach that climate change isn't happening, or wants to skip teaching evolution, we don't find out about it unless someone tells us. So survey work suggests that in the case of evolution, about 13% of teachers, these are public high school biology teachers,
right,
are teaching creationism as a valid scientific alternative to evolution.
Around 13%.
Yeah, so that's what, 1 in 8?
That's... Gee, I don't know whether to be surprised or not, because it's the ongoing problem, of course. But when I really think about that number, yeah, that's quite a percentage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very high. But here's the number that I find more shocking, and what I mean when I say that we're broadening out what we're trying to do. 60% of U.S. public high school biology teachers report that when they teach evolution, they hedge or equivocate in one way or another. All the way from they just say they don't teach it, to they teach it as a debate and give the students the opportunity to make up their own minds.
Make up your own mind.
They may say, I have to teach this because it's in the standards, but I don't believe it.
Right.
There's a lot of different strategies in that 60%, but 60%. That's a really, really large number.
That's huge.
And so what we've been trying to do in the last 3.5 years is figure out, and I'll get to climate change in a moment because it's a similar issue.
Yes.
How do we help those teachers gain the confidence and the expertise that they need to go ahead and teach these topics.
I mean, I shouldn't, as I said before, I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, every time I hear these stories, it reminds me that, we like to pat ourselves on the back every now and then, but the job's far from done.
It's far from done, and it's a bigger problem in a way than we might have thought, because that doubt that was created, that framing of the issue as a debate between two sides, means that even in places where the vast majority of people accept evolution and accept climate change, the teachers are still nervous.
It's such a seductive thing, isn't it? Let's be democratic about it. There are two sides to this issue.
Right.
Let's not hide one of the sides. Let's bring it all out and talk about it. And it's an old tactic we've seen before many times. Yeah.
And there's a lot of evidence that done correctly, acknowledging that some people are really uncomfortable with evolution, acknowledging that to your students, allowing them to hear that, you may have a problem with this area and let's talk about it. It can be really effective. Pretending there's no problem and just teaching evolution like there's no issue here can often lead to students just tuning it out. Mm-hmm. And again, survey work shows that if you ask evangelicals if they were taught evolution in school, some number of them say yes. And if you ask them if it changed their mind, 85% of them say no.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
So if it's not taught well, and by well I mean well with respect to how do you teach it to people who come in with a lot of misconceptions about it, you're not going to have any impact.
Yeah.
So if ultimately our goal, and this is sort of where our strategies are coming in, if ultimately our goal is to have as many students as possible be taught evolution and climate change in a way that they understand the evidence, they understand why the scientific communities have reached the conclusions that they've reached, then we really have to deal with that huge number of teachers who are, I call it self-censoring, or managing potential conflict so that they don't feel that they have to do that.
Yeah, that would be nice, because I can see why some would do it.
Right.
They don't need that hassle. They've got papers to mark and meetings to go to and students to control or whatever it is.
And they've got a vast amount of material to cover.
Yeah.
So particularly in the case of climate change, when it's not even in the standards yet, I mean, it's starting to be, and then next generation science standards cover climate change very well. If it's not even in the standards, and it might get people riled up, why would you go there?
Well, Anne, it's been so fascinating. I love coming back here. I don't care where your office is. It could be anywhere in the world. It's a wonderful thing to be in the office of the National Centre of Science Education. How can people find out more? Where can they visit?
NCSE.com on the web. We have lots of information there. And, of course, if you become a member, you can get our newsletter every 3 months. And the newsletter now really focuses on what are we doing for teachers, how are our booster clubs doing, what kinds of flare-ups have we dealt with, and what's been the outcome of these legislation across the United States and sometimes around the world. So the newsletter is a great way to keep up to date with what we're doing, and of course the website is very rich.
Yeah, well, I think it's applicable for science teachers no matter where you are, from Australia to the United States to everywhere. Mm-hmm. I think any science teacher would do well to visit your site. Once again, Anne, pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It was great to see you again.
Next week, we bring you part 2 of our conversation with Ann Reid, where she discusses some of the challenges when it comes to educating the public on climate change.
You told me that aliens really exist. You met them and swooned.
Sziasztok!
Всем привет!
Hejsa allihop! Guys, I just had the most amazing experience.
What experience, Andras?
Andras, have you been to the pub? I told you not to hang out with Marsh. You know he was blessed by Peter Popov.
No, Yelena, I'm not talking about psychics. It was a real ESP experience.
You have been to the pub. Either that or you've been smoking something.
No, Pontus. The ESP is the European Skeptics podcast. It's the most amazing thing. You get to know so much about skeptics and their activities across Europe. You know, events, hot topics, and interviews with lots of interesting people.
Oh wow, cool. By the way, Pontus, you just committed the false dichotomy fallacy.
I guess that means I'm really wrong.
Yep. And you can even learn about those fallacies on the show and hear about people spreading silly ideas. You should really check it out. It's the ESP, the European Skeptics Podcast. It's on every week.
Alright, so where can I get this ESP experience? It sounds good.
You can go online at theesp.eu, follow it on Twitter at espodcast_EU, or like the podcast on Facebook. Oh, and you can also contact the show by sending them an email to info@theesp.eu. And if you want to subscribe, do a quick search for the European Skeptic Podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Stitcher.
I don't know how you can believe.
As mentioned at the top of the show, I have been enjoying Nibbling on Einstein's Brain, The Good, the Bad, the Bogus in Science by Diane Swanson, available from Annick Press, www.annickpress.com, or where I tend to buy these things. I got this copy I'm holding here from the book depository, but I'll put a link in the show notes. As written on the back of the book, do you know faulty or phony science can creep into your life in a lot of different ways? Nibbling on Einstein's Brain will help you become a science watchdog by suggesting winning strategies and fun ways to sort the good from the bad. And among other recommendations written on the back of the book, we have one from Ben Radford from Skeptical Inquiry, and the podcast you hear promoted on the Skeptic Zone, Squaring the Strange. And Ben says, the bar for children's and young adult books dealing with critical thinking has been dramatically raised. Achieves a rare feat for science books. And you know what, Ben and everybody, I think I have to agree. I have been really enjoying Nibbling on Einstein's Brain. It covers in a very matter-of-fact but very easy-to-digest way basic methods of science, including testing, the theory, science is revised, it needs replication, you need to challenge it, to question the assumptions. It talks about good science, bad science. It gives you a checklist to look out for good science. Lots of examples from history of the method of science and how it's been used. Gives links and references to things like Quackwatch when discussing medical science. And indeed, reading from page 28, Mind the Medical Mouse. Sick, worried, looking for a cure. A few clicks of a mouse and you're bound to find an answer. Well, you're sure to find advice at any rate. What it's worth is another matter. Hundreds of thousands of medical internet sites offer a huge range of information on illnesses, therapies, medicines and more, but many sites are misleading or plain dishonest. Anybody can post information on the internet and claim it's just about anything. There are few checks. Sites that are full of dubious information can look and sound highly scientific, so it can be tricky to tell the good ones from the bad. At the very least, see if a site offers up-to-date support by scientific research. Find out who set up the site and who is providing the information. Check its reputation with health watchdog sites such as Quackwatch. The book also has little segments called Now It's Your Turn, where it challenges you to look up things or do things or think about things. What's this, a baloney buster checklist as part of the book? It's complete with really fun illustrations that would appeal to kids, of course. There's a bit here about horoscopes, which is quite interesting. Winning strategies for science. So, Nibbling on Einstein's Brain, I've been really enjoying it, reading it on the train, actually. It's been a fabulous book. I can sincerely recommend it. Links in this week's show notes. If you've got younger kids at home, maybe elementary, primary school age and up, right through high school. I would suggest right through high school and even beyond. It's an excellent refresher on the method of science for those who are already familiar with it. But for those younger people out there who are not particularly familiar with the method of science, how it works, why things are done in a certain way, then I think it's a wonderful book. Nibbling on Einstein's Brain, link in the show notes. The Skeptic Magazine, the journal from Australian skeptics. Subscribe online to the world's second oldest skeptical magazine. Visit www.skeptics.com.au and click the publications link. You can also find there over 30 years of back issues free to download. The Skeptic, the magazine from Australian skeptics. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed because I was to bring you a live report from the very recent Stranger Things Down Under group on Facebook, trip to Rookwood Cemetery, the largest cemetery here in Sydney, a nighttime tour. And unfortunately, on the very day I was supposed to go, some late work came my way, which I couldn't refuse. And that late work went overtime, but that's okay. These things happen, but I missed out on the tour. So Stranger Things Down Under group, I'm very sorry. And I'm very sorry I couldn't bring the Skeptic Zone audience a live report from a spooky walk around the Rookwood Cemetery. But I look forward to the next Stranger Things Down Under event, whatever that may be. Thank you to Heidi Robertson for that wonderful on-the-scene report from the Star Stuff. Wow, I wish I could have been there. That sounded like a really fabulous couple of days. And I hope Heidi's right. I hope that there's another one of those scheduled for the not-too-distant future. Thank you for those people who support the Skeptic Zone each week at skepticzone.tv via PayPal or Patreon. Much appreciated, vital, necessary, vital. Thank you very much. And thank you to those people who also support Maynard, our wonderful, zany, crazy Maynard, our reporter, and his podcast, Bunga Bunga, over at maynard.com.au, with Tim Ferguson from the Doug Anthony All-Stars making wonderful, fresh Australian comedy, award-winning, of course. Bunga Bunga is an award-winning comedy podcast, and I know Maynard works very hard doing all those edits. He does so many edits and cuts and musical stings and grabs and bits and pieces to make Bunga Bunga so funny. Bunga Bunga, it's at maynard.com.au. If you like fresh Australian comedy, that's where you should head. Now, I don't know if listeners have heard a difference, but this week the voiceovers, the one you're hearing now, are done via or in or through or with my new little Skeptic Zone recording booth I knocked up myself from materials, a cheap box from IKEA, sort of a collapsible box. It's about 30, 40 centimetres by 50 centimetres or so, something like that, and some audio acoustic foam you can hear there with a microphone placed inside. I was inspired by various YouTube clips of people using homemade little recording booths. I hope it makes a difference. Coming up on next week's show, amongst other things, an interview with Bob Novella from The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. But for this week, from, what time is it now? Something like almost 3 o'clock in the morning, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia. You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for contacts, an archive of all episodes since 2008, and our online store. Please support the Skeptic Zone by following us on Twitter at Skeptic Zone, liking us on Facebook, and leaving a review on iTunes. You can also show your support by subscribing via PayPal for as little as 99 cents a week. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian Skeptics Inc. or any other skeptical organisation.